for about 5 years now, and looking at this is part of the 2025 Management and Social Justice Conference. And we are, I'm really excited to welcome Raz Godelink, my brilliant colleague from Parsons. He's an associate professor of strategic design management and an expert on sustainability. He has a really interesting book that he published on this topic with Palgrave Macmillan. And he works with, as I said, with Parsons School of Design and the School of Design Strategies, and who I will be joining starting next year, actually, where we will not be distant colleagues, but close colleagues. And I'm really excited and looking forward to it. And, as I said, this is an oversubscribed and waitlisted workshop. And at the cost of making Raz blush, is definitely a well-known authority in this. And also, I think the time is right, and it's really, despite whatever is going on in the political climate, this is a very important topic, as we know. And some of us who are committed to the future of the planet and well-being for everybody is interested in this topic, as the oversubscribed and waitlisted workshop says. Like, we've had to close off the cap, and that means, this is such an important topic. The world needs it and the world knows it. People are signing up and people are interested in it, despite whatever we hear in the public sphere. And so I'm really thankful that I have colleagues like Raz who are leading this from the front, despite all the challenges that academic institutions are facing today in today's climate. So excited to welcome you, Raz, and your student team who would be facilitating this workshop. And over to you and everybody like you. I'm looking forward to learning from this workshop. And so thank you for joining, and continue to be part of our community. And thank you for showing up for social justice and climate justice. And we have a LinkedIn group. Please do join to be kept abreast of all the upcoming events, as well as to be part of the community. So thank you, and over to you, Raz.
Thank you so much, Lata, and welcome everyone. I'm very happy to be part of the conference and to support the amazing work that Lata is doing. And we'll try really to make this workshop, I hope, as informative as possible and also as engaging as possible. So it's not just about me sharing some of my work and some of my thoughts, but also you having the opportunity to be part of it and interact with it later on. So let me share with you. I prepared a deck, and I'll talk about the agenda for the workshop today. So I'm going to share here the link. So if you want, you can also join on the deck itself. And I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. Everyone can see my screen?
Yes, Raz.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, very good. So, as you know, the topic of today, and I'll appreciate if the other co-hosts could admit those that are in the waiting room. Thank you. So we're looking into asking ourselves about, designing of the future and what leveraging technology could look like for the transition to 1.5C lifestyles. So what's the plan? So we had welcome from Lata. Thank you for that. This will be an introductory presentation, about 20 minutes or so. Then we are going to be engaged into some work. We planned some very interesting work with very interesting scenarios over a mirror board. So we'll do that together in groups, divided into breakout rooms for about 30 minutes. The groups will then reconvene to present their work, and we'll end up with time for questions and then summarizing the work that we've been doing. So that's the plan. Okay, so let's start. PwC shared their global CEO survey earlier this year, and it was interesting to see them suggesting that the two defining issues for businesses are AI and climate change, where climate change is, of course, the key challenge, and they're framing AI as one of the key solutions moving forward. And
Raz, I'm sorry to interrupt, but your presentation is not on screen right now.
oh, let me make sure it is. Sorry about that. Okay. Thank you, Carlos. Let's try again. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So take two. So basically what we're seeing is, right, this framing of climate change as the problem, technology, the solution, and I want to dig a little bit, deeper into it and try to provide, my own framing into it. So when we think about climate change, certainly this is the key the key challenge that we're all facing, not just, businesses. And I hope we're all aware really of, how severe and urgent this challenge is. And at the same time, when we look at how businesses are trying to address it, we see, and this comes in many reports, time and again, that businesses are not doing enough. Yes, businesses are trying to address the climate change in different ways and forms, but they're not doing what we would expect from them, especially as there is, this general target of trying to limit global warming to no more than 1.5 1.5 degrees Celsius. So it's also important to consider and to recognize that the failure of businesses is a reflection of a broader failure. This is both a failure of businesses, which are enacting, implementing a very ineffective corporate sustainability strategy, and I call it sustainability as usual, and I'll talk about it in a minute. It's also a failure of governments who are not providing the supportive regulation that we need to see really to create the right environment for these changes to happen. And also people, us. I mean, the idea that, we're all, especially in the global north, where, our lifestyle is very unsustainable. And this is, also part of the challenge, part of the failure. So the question that I want to raise is how can companies drive change to fight climate change more effectively, right? And within that, what's the role that technology can play? So let's start with companies, and one key theme that I have been developing in my book and my work is that businesses have shifted from what we can call business as usual, the Milton Friedman's way of looking at business, that the business of business is business, to what they call sustainability as usual, where businesses are addressing their social and environmental impacts, but they do it in a very limited way, in a way that is very much structured and grounded still in the prioritization of profit maximization and growth. So it's this mindset that we can characterize as businesses do what they can or what they feel comfortable with, not what they need to do. It's very much still voluntary based. It doesn't have a clear sustainability context in terms of what is it that we're actually trying to achieve. It certainly doesn't have a sense of urgency that I think we're all aware of. Unfortunately, it's not very exciting, and the results are generally incremental. So we're talking about, technology today is one of the themes, and I think this is a good example for sustainability as usual. You can see here, for example, Microsoft that in 2020 tried to make the case, that they are moving forward, uh, to not only reduce their carbon emissions, but their historical carbon emissions and become carbon negative by 2030. But moving forward, 4 years later, we see that their carbon footprint is actually going up, not down, because of their investments in AI infrastructure, which again shows that, in with, that mindset that prioritize the need really to develop and grow beyond the need really to maintain any commitment to climate targets. We also see companies that are investing more in efficiencies, doing things better rather than in efficiency and sufficiency. And sufficiency is very much about, doing less, how to ensure that we're able to move into a state of meeting our needs, without overproduction and overconsumption. And you can see many companies, and again, because of that sustainability as usual mindset, that feel more comfortable investing in efficiencies in their supply chain and their operations. Here again, you can see Amazon, and this is, I mean, true in the case of technology, but not only technology. But I think technology is a good example here. How, for example, AI is utilized, right, to make buildings to make buildings more efficient in terms of their water and energy consumption and so forth. And for Amazon, it's very, it's very convenient and they do it well, but at the same time they're not as invested, right, in thinking about how to reduce the overconsumption of their customers. In many ways, they're actually, their work is trying to grow it even further. What the result of these approaches is that we see that circularity, right? This idea of really trying to increase the utilization of materials and close the loop and ensure that are able to move really to a different state of working business is just not moving the needle. Yes, I mean, we see more and more again work on circularity, but because it's, still very much focused on efficiencies, it's not enough really to balance the increase of economic activity, right? So we see that actually the percentage of circularity as part of the economic activity is going down, not up. The way I call it, I suggest that, this is what we see as circularish, right? Companies are involved in circular activity that is trying to tweak the system rather than, transform the system. They're more interested in recycling and moving to recyclable materials rather than rethinking, their business models as a whole. And the the point that I want to make is that, again, this is not enough, right? In order to fight climate change effectively, businesses need to think in broader terms, in more transformative terms, right? When you think about fashion, right, you can see that the growing impact of fashion is coming from, right, is driven by the growing production. And so this is true for fashion companies, but also in general, that companies need to think not only how to sell better, right? How to increase their efficiency-driven practices, but also how to think about selling less and what does it mean for the businesses to remain financially viable, but also with sufficiency-driven innovation in order to enable businesses and us as a whole, as society, as human beings, to be able to get somewhere around the 1.5C target. when it comes to us, to people, right, and thinking about ourselves as consumers, right, we're not doing great as well, right? I think about especially, young people and how they're who uh, we will always hear about how their values are very much aligned with sustainability, and this is indeed the case. But when it comes really to action, right, when it comes to how they behave, we see that they're behaving in ways that are not aligned with these values, as this excellent report from Weber Shendwick that you can see here, the primacy of the personal suggests, right? This is still the what we see is the prioritization of the me rather than the we. There is first and foremost maximization of experience and value for money, not necessarily prioritization of sustainability. And we can see it, for example, in the growing sales of companies like Shein. So if we thought that fast fashion is the problem 5, 10 years ago, right? We see now that we're moving to the era of hyper fast fashion, and this is very much driven by growing demand. At the same time, it's also important to recognize where we are vis-a-vis where we need to be. And this is, you can see here that the numbers around, the carbon footprint of people in different countries, divided across different categories of food and housing and transport and consumer goods and leisure and services. And what we see here is that you can see the not only the differences between the global north and the global south, but also if you look at the bottom right, the gap between where we are and where we need to be in 2030 and in 2050, right, in terms of the levels of consumptions and the lifestyles that we have, right, if we want to maintain that again, limiting global warming to 1.5 C degrees. And this is, I mean, definitely a challenge that we see, right? How do we move from, being around, 10, 15 CO2, tons of CO2 per person per year to 2.5 tons or even 0.7 tons in 2050. How do we get to what is suggested to be a fair consumption space, right? Where we ensure that all people around the world, right, not just, a small part of it are able to meet their needs in a satisfactory way, and they have the access to to housing and transportation and food and all the other needs that we all have in the global north, right? How do we ensure that we create a new fair consumption space where we don't have neither underconsumption nor overconsumption? That is the challenge. And when we think about regulation that, many people suggest, and I think that is true, that this is a critical component, we have also to acknowledge that right now it's very slow, and in many cases it's going backwards, not only in the US. I mean, we can see some of the challenges in Europe around some of the EU regulation, and also even in Canada. You can see here on the left, this is a couple of days ago, Mark Carney, the new Prime Minister in Canada, one of his first actions as a PM was to kill the consumer carbon tax, and not because he doesn't believe in it. He is actually a very known climate champion. It's because he felt this is a divisive issue. So it shows you just the more challenging landscape that we have in terms of regulation. So what does it mean? Is this, I mean, Mission Impossible? Do we need to call Tom Cruise? Not so fast. I don't think so. I think what we need is first to think about, new principles, right? That we need to accept and think about it differently, right? We need to accept that companies on their own, they can't, it's very difficult for them to transform. The business case for transformation is just not strong enough. We also need to accept that when it comes to people, they're not going to change their lifestyles on their own, the incentive also there is not strong enough. Therefore, what we need is really to find a way to create a new feedback loop where companies helping change people's lifestyles and mindset, which in turn will support their own transformation beyond sustainability as usual. What we need is really to think about this again, creating virtuous feedback loop, right? Companies supporting low carbon lifestyle changes, which in turn help create greater openness and greater increase and greater demand for meaningfully sustainable offerings that then will help companies to move forward in this direction by creating the right incentives for companies to change incentives that are still not there. What we think about it, it's really about how do we, um, how do we get businesses to think and act as designers, right? How do we get businesses to acknowledge, right, that, and this is nothing new. I mean, businesses have always been, trying to shape, our behaviors and attitudes and lifestyles, but and I think they've done, a good job in a way because we're, this just looking at how we live, right? This is very much, a result of the impact that businesses have. So what if businesses could use their capabilities and power to help, redesign the way we live, right? What could, think about the possibilities, right, of that to drive a change. And we also want to think about technology as a design tool. If we go back to the initial PwC survey that I mentioned, right, they talk about again AI, but only in terms of creating greater efficiencies, right, to help increase productivity and profitability and so forth. That's not good enough. That's not going to serve us well. Efficiency in itself is not going to increase sustainability. What we need is really a new or a better, broader, holistic framework to use technology more effectively, right? We needed to be focusing on both efficiency and sufficiency, right? We need to take a more holistic approach, right, to system change that understands that it's not only about redesigning products and services, but it's also about redesigning the environment in which they operate. So that leads me to some of the work that I've been doing as I've been trying to see, what is the role of businesses in changing, in driving this shift to low carbon lifestyles, and doing this work also with some of the great MSSDM students that are here with us today and that will facilitate the work that you will be doing in the breakout rooms later. The result of this work, looking into synthesizing, researching, and eventually putting together existing or existing frameworks that have been looking on changes, especially in the context of low carbon lifestyles. The result of this work has been a new business-driven 1.5C lifestyle framework. And beyond this fancy name, what it means is basically that businesses have more spheres of influence that they could take advantage of. When we think about what businesses can do, it's not only about, their carbon footprint. It's really about different spheres of influence that could help, create a more holistic framework for the different dimensions that should be taken into consideration when we think about change. It's really about thinking about what businesses can and should be doing when it comes to narratives and attitudinal changes, right? How businesses could increase, right, public awareness and help shift attitudes toward sustainability to help us really rethink what low carbon lifestyles could look like, right? How businesses could help make it more attractive, and more and just different view of this vision. Policy influence and market conditions is another opportunity area in terms of strengthening the influence of policies, supporting policies that will help change the landscape, and supporting 1.5C products and innovations and business models. And finally, innovation and sustainable design. This is more intuitive for businesses, but what it actually means is that it's sustainable design and innovation that are working to make low carbon or 1.5C lifestyles more accessible and attractive. The idea is that you really want to meet people where they are and to make it easier for them to transition to 1.5C lifestyles. So let me give you some examples. And I want to start with innovation and sustainable design. And the examples that I'll show here are examples that are actually reflecting the potential of businesses of technology to support both efficiency and sufficiency, right? So let's look from right to left. So on the right here, this is Benny. Benny is a web extension that helps make the search for secondhand clothes much easier. As they call it, this is the way to welcome people to the party. It's a very smart AI based tool to help make it easier and more accessible for people to search for secondhand clothes that are by nature offering a more sustainable option. In the middle, you have Too Good to Go. Too Good to Go is again a great app using technology to connect people with businesses that have food that instead of just throwing it away, they are offering it to people in a discounted price. And it's a great way to also to reframe the fight against food waste, into reframe it as a way really to help people find food in a way that is user friendly, in cheaper prices, just making food more accessible. And lastly, on the left, you can see Indiex, which is one of a growing number of apps that help people shop in their closet. So this is another great use of AI to help people better utilize what they already have in their closet. So it helps you really to scan and manage your wardrobe, and understand and just figure out how to make more use of it. It also helps, it works as a stylist assistant, and overall helping people to make better use of what they already have. This way, reducing the need to buy new clothes. So these are, again, ways of using technology, right, to really to make low carbon lifestyles more accessible, more appealing, and essentially, just more interesting for people to experiment with. When it comes to policy influence and market conditions, so on the right, you can see here, this is from the UK, companies that are working together. These are supermarket chains that are working together, calling government really to take more action on food waste. The idea is that they want to move forward. They want to reduce food waste, right? But they also need the government, in this case in the UK, to provide the regulation that will help, just create, the necessary infrastructure and the necessary scale. So it makes sense for all of them really to work together as a group and do exactly that. On the left, you see what does it mean to change market conditions, and this is a collaboration of than 30 companies, including large companies as PepsiCo and Starbucks and Coca-Cola, that have been working together in one city, Petaluma in California, trying to shift the city from using single-use cups to reusable cups. And it was a very interesting example of how do you create a new ecosystem? How do you create an ecosystem of that is based on collaboration and provides and creates new conditions for sustainability in the absence of regulation, so that they really work together to create the conditions for this shift to happen, and they did it very effectively. And I'll also mention it in a bit, but again, very interesting example showing how businesses could work together to change the market conditions, especially on a local level. Let me get back here. Okay. And lastly, awareness and attitudinal change. And here you can see, I'll continue with the Petaluma pilot. So what's interesting, you can see here, one thing that was important was design, really intentional, strategic design, helping, and thinking about, what this change mean not only for people that, are all in favor of sustainability, but those that don't really care, right? How do you ensure their buy-in? How do you get them to be part of it? And so that they call it, how do you design for the movable middle? So every piece of, their pilot, right, from the messaging, from the location of the bins, from the colors that they use, everything was really with these people in mind, how to ensure that they could increase their buy-in and get everyone included. So this is really a great example of that. On the right side, you see here, this is from Veja, a French shoe company that doesn't have a marketing budget. Basically, they believe that instead of using money for marketing, they want to use it for their supply chain to really ensure that they pay fair wages, that they're able to support communities in Brazil and elsewhere. And it's really interesting to think about how companies could really reshape their relationships with us, how they can rethink marketing, right? And think about the influence that marketing have on our lifestyles and decisions and behaviors, and what does it mean for companies to rethink their own contribution, and how that could be redesigned, and the relationships between the company and the customers really could change accordingly. So to sum it up, basically, there's the challenge and the opportunity for companies is to first, how do they use technology to create 1.5C lifestyle solutions? Again, thinking in terms of both the sufficiency and efficiency, not only efficiency. How do they generate more demand, right? That is really critical for 1.5C lifestyle solutions. And lastly, how do they help design a more favorable environment, right, for 1.5C lifestyle solutions? And the point that I want to leave you with, that if companies can do that, right, then their efforts to support this change could create a positive feedback loop, which in return will help also their own sustainability efforts, and hopefully create a very different environment for all of us to live and operate in. Okay, so this is the premise of this workshop, the new framing, the new framework, the thinking about what companies can do, what roles technology could play in it. And I want you now to try and play with it a little bit. We've created a number of scenarios that are all based on real cases, companies that are already interested to a certain